Welcome to the World Hard Enduro Podcast, the podcast dedicated to the world of hard enduro. This is for riders of dirt bikes and those who are interested in listening and learning more about the Hard Enduro World Championship, as well as the riders and their stories. My name is Taryn, and on this episode, we'll be interviewing Valentino Hutter, a 16-year-old ex-group rider who is making waves in the hard enduro community. We speak about his introduction to riding, highlight some of his experiences and performances lately, as well as how he prepares for a new season. Lastly, we'll end up with some personal and fun questions. We hope you enjoy this episode. Valentino, welcome to the World Hard Enduro Podcast. We are very excited to have you here today. This is just an opportunity for our riding community to get to know you a little bit better and just to have a chat about your racing career.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm also really excited, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So let's start at the beginning. I read somewhere that your dad is the one who introduced you to enduro racing. So I'd like to know, how old were you when you started riding dirt bikes?
Yes, so my dad was the one who introduced me into riding. That's true, yeah. And I think I got my first dirt bike at the age around of 3, I think. And yeah, it was a electric trial bike. And yeah, that was the start for me into riding.
That's awesome. It's quite young to start on two wheels. How often did you used to ride when you were younger? Did you used to ride more on the weekends, or was it kind of like an everyday thing?
I can't remember exactly, but I was riding a lot at that time for sure, yeah. And yeah, it was my hobby since I'm a little guy, and yeah, that's what I did.
Very cool. And what would you say, growing up, like what are one of your favorite memories of riding from when you were younger?
For sure, the time that I had with my dad. We were together so much, and yeah, it just made me happy and made us come close together. And yeah, I think now we're a really good team, and that was for sure the start of that.
Very cool. And yeah, I can absolutely imagine how traveling and spending time together for races and on weekends would definitely create quite a strong bond between you and your dad. Whose choice was it to start racing competitively? Was it your choice, or was it your dad who maybe convinced you to get more competitive with your riding?
For sure, it was my choice, yeah. But my dad also used to race, or he's still racing now, but not as much anymore. Yeah, but actually with racing, I started quite late, but it was my idea, and I wanted to get better. And I think you have to start to go to races to actually get better.
Absolutely. Being more riding means, more time on the bike, which means inevitably getting better, right?
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
You said that you started off on a trials bike. How old were you when you moved from a trials bike onto a non-electric, trials bike, dirt bike?
That was around the age of 9 or 10, I think. There, my dad bought me an 125 Sherco trial. And yeah, I can remember I used to ride a lot, but I started riding really a lot when the pandemic was the coronavirus. I had no school there, and I was riding 2 times a day for sure. And yeah, that's when it got intense with the riding, I would say.
I see. That's very cool. So now that we have a good understanding of kind of where you've come from growing up on bikes, so let's look a little bit into your racing career. If I'm not mistaken, you are 16 years old now.
Yeah.
So your career is only just starting, really. And you definitely have some highlights and some achievements that you can be proud of already in your racing career. I think the first one that we can speak about is the Austrian Enduro Youth Championship. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so right now it's my third season in the Austrian Championship, or no, my fourth season in the Austrian Championship. I started in the Austrian Championship at the age around of 14, I think. And yeah, in my first season, I got third in the youth class, and in the second and third season, I won the youth title in Austria. And now I went one category higher. Now I'm riding in the juniors. And yeah, the championship is still going and there are some races left. So nothing is done yet.
I see. Congratulations on winning 2 years in a row. Coming from Austria, is this your national championship?
Yeah, that's true. That's the only championship that we have here in Austria.
I see. And how competitive would you say the championship is? You said that there's a youth class as well as now you've moved up into the junior class. How many riders are there inside the youth class and in the junior classes?
So in the junior class, there are around 20 riders, I would say, or something like that. And yeah, in general, we always have a few hundred riders at the races. But you can't compare it to a World Championship level. There's a really big step from Austria to the World Championship.
Absolutely. Do you think that by getting that championship and by winning that championship, it gave you some confidence to participate in those international events and international races?
Yeah, of course. And also, I always wanted to race hard enduro. And so with the 2 titles I got in the previous years, then I decided to go to Romaniacs and Erzberg, and this is when it really made me think of going to the Junior World Championship for sure, because the races were pretty good and I had a lot of fun, and so here I am now.
While racing the Austrian Championship, what would you say was your biggest challenge during that time?
In the first year, it for sure was just to get the feeling of being at the race. You know, in the first year, I was learning everything and stuff like that. And yeah, but now I would say in the Austrian races, I'm pretty experienced and I know what will come at me. And so now the Austrian races are just fun for me.
That's cool. I love that, you know, the more that you race, the more that you do it, the more confident and comfortable you get, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So moving on to, as you mentioned, Romaniacs. Can you tell us a little bit about your performance and what you achieved at that race?
Yes, so last year I competed in the silver category. And in the end, I made the second place. It was a pretty good result for me, but it was a long race and a tough race. But yeah, I was really happy in the end. But the prologue was really hard for me. I never have experienced something like this before because it was just so hot and really it made me really tired. And yeah, but then when the real race started, I just had a good flow and was riding good, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And in that race, I mean, the silver class is not necessarily an easy class to enter into for your first time. Obviously, you are racing against a lot of experienced riders. Did you find it quite intimidating to be riding against, all of these experienced riders at this race?
Yeah, for sure. But I was up for the challenge, and it was pretty cool. And I didn't expect to be at the front, really. Which made it much cooler in the end. And yeah, I think that not many people thought that I will be at the front, but yeah, I proved some people wrong, and that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And for such a long and tough race like Romaniacs, how do you prepare for something like that?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to just ride. You have to ride as much as possible, just to get the feeling on the bike, and yeah, but also to be in a physical good condition is for sure really important. Of course, when you go to the gold class, it will be a whole nother challenge. And yeah, let's see what this year will bring.
Yes, absolutely. What would you say was your favorite part about Romaniacs? You said that the prologue was quite challenging and tiring. What would you say was your favorite part of that race and that event?
The favorite part, yeah, that's a good question. I would say, like, for sure, the last day was pretty cool, I think. It was just really flowy on the last day, and and everyone wanted to push really hard to get to the podium, and I think there was quite a good race going on there between the riders, and yeah, that was the most fun day for me.
We briefly interrupt this interview with Valentino Hutter and Taryn to give away some X-Grip products. X-Grip is supporting the channel, as you already know, and a big shout out and thanks to them for supporting with some products to give away as well. We are giving away the ESCALATOR 140/80/18 Super Sticky rear tire, perfect for those hard enduro conditions, as well as the MACHETE 90/100/21 front tire. I'm pretty jealous myself about these products. I wish I could put them on my bike. This is an Instagram social media giveaway. In order for you to enter, you must answer the question, what is the product that Valentino Hutter can't live without from X-Grip? Comment your answer on our Instagram post, as well as be sure to follow World Hard Enduro on Instagram, X-Grip on Instagram, as well as Valentino Hutter himself on Instagram. Quick disclaimer, these products can only be shipped within the EU, but this doesn't mean that you have to live in the EU in order to win the product. So if you have a friend or someone in the EU that we can ship to, that's also okay. Good luck.
You are now supported by X-Grip, right? And I'd like to find out, how does it help having a team supporting you at a race like, for example, Romaniacs? Such a long race that requires a lot of support. What value does it have to have a team there to support you at an event like that?
Yeah, of course, with being at the X-Grip team, it makes my life and also the life of my dad a lot easier, because they already prepare a lot of stuff for us. And yeah, just with them, they are helping us with the preparation of the bikes, and they have all the parts that we need or we might need during the race. And yeah, I think we are a great team. And I think when you have a good team, you can focus more on yourself and more on the riding, and it makes your life a lot easier, yeah.
Yes, I can absolutely understand. It takes a lot of the stress and the pressure off of planning and organizing, and you can just focus on the riding and the racing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move into your most recent performance, which is definitely Erzbergrodeo. So in 2023, you finished 25th in the Prologue, but this year in 2024, you finished 11th in the Prologue. That is quite a big improvement.
Yeah, that's true. And I didn't really expect that either. I just wanted to make it in the first row again, so the top 50. And yeah, I just had a solid ride, I would say. It was nothing crazy, nothing spectacular, but I guess when you have a good feeling or a good run without big mistakes, you can go pretty far up the leaderboard. And yeah, I think 11th place was pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We were keeping track of all of the riders and the racing, and we were very impressed by your performance. Do you think that there's a particular reason why you did better this year compared to last year in the prologue specifically?
Yeah, for sure. I was more experienced. I can remember last year I was so nervous, you cannot believe it. For sure, it was the most nervous day of my life last year, and yeah, this year I know or I knew what to expect, and it made it a lot easier. And yeah, also with the help of my teammates, like Didi Rudolph, he has a lot of experience on the berg or the mountain, Erzberg, and yeah, we looked at the track together and we spoke a little bit about lines and stuff like that. So yeah, he is helping me for sure, also quite a lot.
That's awesome to have a teammate who can definitely give you some insider tips and some insight into, you know, the racing and how to prepare for that. I know that last year you started on the first row as well as this year. Does it feel quite intimidating to be on that first row? I can imagine that, you know, waiting for the start can be quite nerve-wracking while you wait, you know, for the flag to go and then just race to that start. Do you find that that wait in the front is like a little bit overwhelming?
Yeah, I would say so. It's really, really nervous. To wait for the flag, and yeah, also, but I think every racer is nervous, and I think it's not bad if you're nervous. I think also the top riders are like that, and yeah, for sure, I think that's the most nerve-wracking start into a race you can imagine, with the TV teams and the cameras all around you, and the helicopter is flying over you and stuff like that. So yeah, it gets you pretty nervous. But once the start is done, you're in your own mode and you just race.
Yes, absolutely. And we saw a lot of the camera looked at a lot of like the riders in the front row, and I definitely was like, I would be nervous if the camera was coming past me. So I completely understand that.
Yeah.
What do you think for yourself was the most challenging part of Erzberg? I know everyone got to different checkpoints and different checkpoints were challenging to different riders. For you, which part of the race did you find the most challenging?
The most challenging, I would say, was after Machine. There was a little checkpoint in the forest. I think the first riders who made it there might have had a little bit of a better line. But like I came in there around like 25th or something, and there was already a little bit of chaos there, and nobody made it up on their own. So we had to help each other. And yeah, that was for sure quite exhausting for me, because we had to push up there several bikes. And yeah, but in general, I think for everyone, Karl Steiner is pretty exhausting, and it's really long. Like this year, we did it like 3 times, and yeah, that's like the first big thing in the race. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very draining to have to go back and forth on that same section. And I mean, we're not there. We can only see it on the TV and on the live coverage, and it already looks pretty intimidating. So I can only imagine what it must be like to ride that and be there and see it with your own eyes.
Yeah, for sure. Once in your lifetime, you have to experience it, and sometimes the stones are as big as your bike. And yeah, it's a pretty exhausting part of Erzberg, but I think everyone knows Karl Steiner, and yeah, so it's cool, but it makes you tired. Yeah, that's for sure.
I can believe that. Coming from Austria and having this such an iconic race there, did you find it, motivating or slightly intimidating to be in front of your home crowd there at the race?
First of all, it's just awesome to have a race like that in Austria. And yeah, of course, there are many family, friends, and people that you know are coming to the race. So of course, you want to perform. It puts a lot of pressure on yourself, that's for sure. And also the big manufacturers are also looking at this race. So Erzberg is the one race that you want to be good at, I think. And yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on yourself. But once the flag is dropped and the race is ongoing, I think you forget all of that and you just try your best to get as far as possible.
Yes, absolutely. I can imagine that if you see your family and friends during the race, then that is a motivating thing. But maybe before the race, it's a little bit stressful, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah, if you see them at the track, or near the track, and they are cheering for you, it pushes you and motivates you. Yeah, but before the race, you really get nervous and you start thinking about different things. And yeah, but like I said, once the race is going on, you forget about that.
Yes. So let's move into kind of your training and like preparation for like a racing season. So do you follow a specific kind of training program that helps you to stay fit and, in a race ready state, you could say?
Like over the winter time, I was riding quite a lot. I was in Sardinia for a week, and then I went to Spain, which was a pretty good start into the new season for sure. Then the weather here in Austria wasn't too good, and we couldn't ride as much. But of course, you try to stay fit and you go running or cycling and stuff like that. But then, like 1 month before the first race, I had a pretty good crash, and I hurt myself a little bit and was out for one part of the first race. So I could only do 1 day of the first race in the Austrian Championship, which doesn't make it easier now. Like I have a point deficit going into the season. Yeah, but like now the weather is good and you can go cycling and running pretty much every day. And now with the big races like Serbia and Romaniacs coming up, you for sure want to ride as much as possible.
Yes, absolutely. And you said that you traveled a little bit to ride in new places. Do you think that has given you an advantage by riding in new places and experiencing different terrain?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really important to see where the other guys are training and to get used to different conditions. Like in Austria, we don't have that much stones like it would be, for example, at Hispania or like it was now at Valleys. but yeah, so Spain was pretty good to train. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that, yeah, having different experiences in different terrains, I can imagine how that would definitely benefit a rider. Let's talk about how before the season, so before your 2024 racing season starts, how does it help to have a team like Xgrip? How do they help you prepare leading into a new season?
First of all, they are checking like the stuff with the bikes and everything. So when the new season is starting, we have fresh bikes, new bikes. We don't have to do anything by ourselves. Xgrip is covering all of that. So that's for sure a really big advantage, and big thanks to Xgrip for giving us this opportunity. I think that's the biggest part that they are playing before the season, just with getting the bikes ready and stuff like that. Yeah.
And I can only imagine how exciting it must be to have a supporter and a team there to support you. I mean, doing this with yourself and your dad before and then being part of a team, I can imagine that must be a very exciting and motivating thing for a rider.
Yeah, of course. When I got the news that I will be riding for Xgrip, yeah, I was really happy, and it made me feel great. And yeah, still now I'm happy and thankful to be a part of the team. And I think that we are a pretty good team, and we have a good community right now. And also with our with the other team riders, I think we are coming along nicely. And yeah, it's just a nice atmosphere to be there.
That's awesome. So, if I'm not mistaken, you ride two different bikes. You ride a 250 and a 300 two-stroke gas. Is that correct?
And the 250 is a four-stroke.
So 250 four-stroke and a 300 two-stroke. As a newbie to riding and someone who doesn't know that much about bikes, why would you choose two different kinds of bikes? Why would you race two different bikes in a season?
So for me, I use the 300 two-stroke for the hard enduro races and the 250 four-stroke for the fast races like we have in the Austrian Championship. And yeah, I think for hard enduro, it's just a lot easier to ride the two-stroke because it's much lighter and it has a little bit more power, I would say. And yeah, the four-stroke is like a little bit heavier, but it's, for me at least, it's better to ride into the corners, and it holds the line much better, I would say. So that's why I chose the four-stroke for the fast races.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. You did a really good job explaining that to me. Thank you. So for your bike, obviously you've got a lot going on in a bike. What are any specific like products or things that you use on your bike? Let's just say, for example, like tires or your grips or your seat cover. Like, what are specific things on your bike that you think really do make a big difference in like your riding?
Yeah, so first of all, we have all of the parts that Xgrip is producing. We have them on our bike as well. Like the tires, I mostly use Check the Gripper Soft and Escalator for all of the races. And yeah, we have some protection parts on our bike as well. All of them are from Xgrip. But other than that, I use a different suspension. I have a WP suspension on my bike, but with different settings and stuff like that. So it makes my life a lot easier. And on my four-stroke bike, I also have made some changes to my engine. Yeah, and that's it, I would say.
I know previously you have mentioned that your dad used to help you prepare your bike for big races like Erzbergrodeo and Red Bull Romaniacs. Does he still help, or is he leaving it to the professionals now?
No, like for the big races, I will or my dad is doing it just because he knows what I like the best, and yeah, but he is still really much involved into the whole process of getting bikes ready, and yeah, after the races and if we're at home, it's my dad who does the job.
That makes a lot of sense. It's always good to have someone who knows what you like around to help and support you in that way. So let's move into some tips and advice for new riders or amateur riders. So, for example, I am very new to riding dirt bikes. If I wanted to improve my skills and get better and maybe faster on the bike, what would you recommend for a new rider to get better?
First of all, yeah, just ride and take your time. And like for me, the most important thing is to just have fun while riding. And I think if you're having fun, you will improve by yourself, and you will get better each time you're on the bike. And yeah, of course, then if you want to go professional, for sure you have to do some physical training. But if you want to begin with riding, just try to have as much fun as possible, and I think that's the key for starting off with your riding career.
That's a good suggestion. We have another big race coming up in Serbia. Will this be your first time at the World Hard Enduro Rally?
Yeah, it will be my first time, yeah.
And how are you feeling going into this race?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited, and I've heard from friends or like my teammate Didi Rudolph, who competed there in the last year, it will be a really hard race also this year, and yeah, I hope that I'm ready for it. And yeah, for sure it will be really hard and demanding race, but I hope we have a good result there.
Do you have any specific goals or a specific outcome that you are trying to achieve at this race?
No, not really. Just like it's my first time there, and it's my first year in the championship. So I see the whole year as a learning year for me. It's like a learning process, and so I just want to see what every race is about. And yeah, like I said, it will be my first time in Serbia, and yeah, I just want to see what it is like there, and I hope to make it to the finish. And I think it will be a pretty big challenge to make it to the finish because it's such a hard race. But yeah, we will see.
Yes, for sure. And you spoke about this being your first year in the championship. I know that before the season started, there was a climb camp with Paul Bolton just before the first round. Did you attend this training or camp before the season?
Yeah, I was there, yeah.
And did you find it helpful as a new rider into the championship, into this junior, as a junior into the season? Did you find that this camp was helpful in preparing you for the season?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to get some better knowledge about what it is, what's about racing in the championship. And yeah, Paul definitely helped us there, and he has a lot of knowledge already. And yeah, he was one of the first riders who started with hard enduro, and he was there since the beginning, and therefore he has a lot of knowledge, and he gave us really good tips and helped us to improve. Yeah.
That's very cool. I think it's a cool initiative that they've got to help the junior riders prepare for this new adventure and new challenge. So I'd like to end off. We're almost coming to the end of our chat. I'd like to end off with some personal questions, just some fun questions. So other than riding, what other hobbies do you enjoy doing in your free time, when you have free time?
So in the winter, I like to ride ski. Before I did dirt bike races, I did some ski races here in Austria, and yeah, so it's still a big hobby of mine. And yeah, in the summer, I like to play beach volleyball. And yeah, like in 2 weeks, I will play at a tournament with my friend. And yeah, so that are my hobbies.
That's really cool. And if I'm not mistaken, you're still in school now, right? How do you balance being in school and like studies with now traveling more and being more competitive inside the racing scene? How do you find a balance between the two?
Yeah, it's not easy, to be honest, but I try to still be good in school. And yeah, that's also what my father wants me to to be good in school. And yeah, it's not easy, but I try to make it happen. And yeah, for sure, there is a lot of time that I use for riding dirt bikes and for traveling and stuff like that. But yeah, I still have to do school. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand. Our parents always want us to do well at school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who would you say inside the riding community is your biggest inspiration as a rider and in your racing? Who inspires you the most?
Like right now, I would say Manny is doing stuff that nobody else is doing. He is riding on such a good level and he's not making big mistakes. And I think that's what everyone wants to do, but not many can make it happen. But yeah, he's the one who's at the top at the moment. And I think like if you're young like me, you want to be like him for sure. But like right now, it's just also with Didi Rudolph. He is such a good training partner, and I also want to be at his level, and I try to always get better and try to compete with him. And yeah, I'm learning a lot from him as well.
That's awesome. Outside of traveling for racing and for riding, if there's one country that you could go to just for a holiday, which country would it be?
I would say maybe Greece or Spain. Those two are pretty cool countries, and yeah, I've seen a lot of videos and stuff like that, and it seems pretty cool there. So yeah, maybe one of those two.
That's a really good answer. Okay, my last question. If you had to choose one X-Grip product that you could not live without, what product would that be?
For me, it would be the rear tire Check the Gripper Soft, because it's a tire that you can use in every condition. And yeah, for me, it works perfect. And I think that would be my choice.
Good choice. Valentino, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It's been really awesome to get to know you and understand your racing career and where you are currently and where you are heading. We from the World Hard Enduro team wish you all the best for the future, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was awesome.
You have made it to the end of our Valentino episode. We want to thank you from the World Hard Enduro team for your support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, as well as share with your friends. It helps to grow the channel and our community. If you have any riders who you'd love for us to interview in the future, make sure to reach out to us or send us a DM on social media. Until then, don't forget to add gas.